That there's a state of war and a state of emergency. We've had this before. We had this in January, and for several weeks we had non-stop sirens and non-stop chatter on the radio about the threat from radical Islam and terrorist groups and so on. And so we're having a kind of a replay of that, but it has been, I think, accentuated, and we're going to have an intensification of the media campaign, which is essentially a propaganda campaign.
Yes, well, I hope actually that it's even more of a wake-up call for us to realize that we are ISIS, that the Western governments that are in bed with Saudi Arabia, who is the primary funder of ISIS, along with Qatar and other Gulf states, we not only provide the political cover and military assistance to Saudi Arabia while it slaughters innocent people in Yemen, but we also provide the cover for them to go ahead and do their dirty dealing with these psychopaths who are running around Syria and other parts of the world as well, Iraq. Let us remember that before the United States invaded Iraq, there was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Look at it today. Let us also remember that when Gaddafi was in power in Libya, there was very little Al-Qaeda. And in fact, now we look at it, and it's an absolute basket case full.
But Chancellor Merkel and the European Commission last year allowed the doors of Europe to open. And then, of course, we saw with the internal free movement of peoples within Europe the impact that that has. How do we know that most of the people who are coming are not even legitimate refugees? We know it because no less a source than the European Commission itself has now told us as much. Earlier this year, in an interview, Frans Timmermans, Vice Chair of the European Commission, admitted in his estimate at least 60% of the people who came to Europe last year have no more right to be here than anybody else. That means in a country like Germany, there are at least 750,000 people who came last year who ought not to be in Germany. It means that in Sweden, there are around 80,000 people in that country who came in last year who have no right whatsoever to be in Sweden. Now, anybody who thinks that the German government is going to start deporting 750,000 people anytime soon, or the Swedish government is going to deport 80,000 people anytime soon, never mind the people who shouldn't have been there